Allie. Join me as I show you how to make this dramatic drop bracelet featuring some pearls, some drops, and IrisDuo beads. Remember, if you want those supplies, go ahead and look below the video to get links back to our website as well as the full listing of materials and quantities. As always, gather up your materials, let's have fun and get started. So we've recently restocked our pearls and I was definitely inspired to create with them. Starting out, we are going to be using some beads and I'm going to show you all the different options you can do in this nice simple design. I have a stop bead on some size 6 dragon thread and I'm going to be coming back down the project, so I'm not worried too much about right now going in and having extra thread at the end. I'm using a size 11 needle and I've put on my needle a size 11 seed bead, a size 6 pearl, an 11 seed bead, and now I'm going to pick up my first one of my IrisDuos. I'm picking up the IrisDuo that is going to sit up at the top. I'm going to add another one of my darker 11s, another one of my pearls, another one of my dark beads here. And this one I want to sit so that way the opening here is to the top of the bead when it's facing up, and I'm going from the right to the left. Add another 11, oops, I forgot I already did the 11-0 there. And I'm going to go back through that first pearl. What this is going to do is actually my first unit. So this is actually right angle weave that you may not even really notice or know that it's right angle weave that you're doing. Coming out the pearl here, we are going to do a crisscross effect across the middle of the design. I'm going to add 1, 2, and 3 of my 11-0 seed beads. That's going to be followed by 111, 1 drop, and these are 3x4 millimeter Miyuki drop. If you don't want to use that, you can use an 8-0 seed bead. Another one of my 11-0 seed beads, and then 1, 2, and 3 of my 15-0s. I'm coming out the top of that first pearl, and I'm going to go to the bottom of the second pearl, sewing then from the bottom towards the top. That pulls that right across the middle of the project. 1, 2, and 3 11-0 seed beads go on. We're going to share the 11 drop 11, meaning I'm sewing back through the one that's already there. Nice tight pull here. We're going to then do 1, 2, 3 11s, and this time sewing back into that first pearl from the bottom towards the top, which makes that little package or that little crisscross atop. I like that the teardrop sits up towards the top there. All right, from here, I'm going to go through the 11-0, the IrisDuo, the 11-0, and out through my pearl. When I'm coming out through that next pearl, we're going to continue doing the exact same thing. So an 11-0 goes on. We're going to do our next IrisDuo. This one is going to be the one at the bottom, so I'm going to go through the top hole. And you just look basically where your thread is coming from and how the IrisDuo needs to sit up. On goes an 11-0. Away rolls my pearl that I need to put on here. Another 11. Another IrisDuo. This one is going to be through the bottom hole. And I'm going from the right to the left, so that way the flat side is down, the rounded side is up. And another 11-0 goes on. And back into the pearl. And it's coming down the bottom of that pearl. Coming down the bottom of that pearl, we're going to do that same crisscross. 1, 2, 3 of our 15s, 1 11, 1 drop, 1 11, 1, 2, 3 15s. Going from the bottom of the left pearl, we're going to go to the top of the right pearl. And down. Nice tight pull. 1, 2, 3 gold 15s, sewing up through the 11, the drop, and the 11. You want to make sure that you pull the thread, that there's not a lot of extra thread showing there. 1, 2, 3 15s. Back down through the pearl that was on the left. As I go back down through the pearl that's on the left, you want to just go through the pearl unless you happen to catch on the 11-0. That's before the IrisDuo, because we're doing that anyway. Going back through the 11, the IrisDuo, the 11, and then out through the pearl. So you saw the first 2 units be built, and we're going to keep on going, building my next units. longer and longer and longer till I have the length of my bracelet. We'll get to the end, we'll stick on a clasp, and then we're gonna come back down the bracelet to the top and the bottom, adding on our teardrops between our IrisDuos on the sides. Do you know how jewelry makers save huge each month on beading supplies? Potomac Beads Treasure Box is a monthly subscription where you can save up to 60% off new and exciting materials. And here's a few examples of what your community made with their treasure boxes. This month, we have our best ever deals for new subscribers, including free tools, added boxes and kits, and even our ultimate beading kit for annual subscribers. Unleash your creativity with a treasure box subscription. Visit PotomacBeads.com/subscribe or click on the link in the description. Once you get the length that you need and you're at the end of the design, you're going to use one 11-0 seed bead, one drop, and then I have on 3 of my 15-0 seed beads. These are coming out right after my pearl, and I'm going to add one more 11-0 seed bead. I'm going into one side of the clasp, and I'm going to come down through that same 11-0 seed bead, and then I'm going to repeat the seed beads on the opposite side. 3 of my 15s, along then with one of my drops, along with one of my 11-0 seed beads, and then into the pearl from the opposite side. As I do this, I'm going to then reinforce the clasp, making my thread go through all of those beads leading up to the clasp one more time. Through the 11, through the drop, through the 15s, as well as the 11. Now I still have to come up and down the project, so I'm getting a second strand around the end of my Claspgarten clasp here, but I'll do a third strand as I come up and back the project, adding in the drops and connecting to the second hole of my IrisDuo beads. Once you're done and gone through there 2 times, you're going to come out through the pearl on the opposite side, and then we'll get ready to step up into that second hole of the IrisDuo. So coming down the side here, you can see that I added in my drops and my extra seed beads to connect to that second hole of the IrisDuo bead. I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. I know I have one way back at the beginning flipped over. I'm going to ignore it. All right, so pretend that you are to the end here, and I'm just showing a reminder how we went in and did the end of the piece. Coming out of the pearl, 11-0, drop, 3 15s, an 11-0, back through the 11, and then repeat that, doing a 15-0, a drop, an 11. I'm going to reinforce this, and I'm showing this side because I'm not coming back down this side. So I want to make sure that I have at least 3 strands not connected to my needle nose pliers, connected to my clasp going through that. You can see there's my starter thread. I'm also going to tie off that starter thread. So when you get to the end of your design, you're going to want to do that reinforcement, going through your seed bead, going through the clasp here, back down through the seed bead, back down through the clasp. If it gets tight, depending on what needle you're using, I happen to have a big eye needle here that I'm working with. I've been trying it out because honestly it's getting a little bit harder to thread my needle. Don't want to admit that it's getting harder to see those things, but it is. So I'm trying out the big eye needle, which I know a lot of you love. I'm trying to love it to make my life easier. And coming out through the bead after doing 3 rotations, what I'm going to do is get ready to come down the opposite side here and add in those seed beads and show you how I did it on the first side. But I'm going to go in and remove that stop bead or that starter bead, and I'm going to tie these 2 thread ends together. Because I'm not coming back down. We added the first clasp and then I jumped ahead and did one side because it's the exact same on both sides. I'm going to show you how now, but coming back down the other side, because I did that first side during waiting for kids and drum lessons. All right, now on the other side, when you're coming out the pearl, I want you to add a 15. So pretend we're back at that first side. You're adding a 15. You're going to add a drop, which of course I need more of them out of. And if you want a little bling, you can obviously change the drops to crystals. I would change them to 2mm crystals. After your drop, you're going to do right up here along the side, getting up to the top here. You're going to do an 11-0 and a 15-0, and now we're ready to go. Stepping up to the second hole of the IrisDuo, ready to go with this IrisDuo. You're not going to be using any 11s, you're going to be using 15s and drops. I'm even going to pull the camera in a little closer so you can really see what we're doing here. Because it's going to feel like you're working backwards, but this is how you need to work in order to get your drop to sit correctly. You're going to add on your thread and needle one of your 15s, one of your drops, and a second 15 on the other side. Going back to this section here, we are going to join the two sides of our groups of 3. I'm going to sew back towards the clasp, so I'm working backwards, through the 2 beads that are closest to the middle hole of the pearl. That kind of pulls that diagonal. I'm going to add a 15, and I'm going to go through the drop. Now you will notice the drops vary a tiny bit in size. Your crystals won't do that if you use crystals. I like the drops though, there's something different to use. After the drop, you're adding a 15 and you're sewing into the next IrisDuo. Okay, now ready? We're going to do this again. 15, drop, 15. Going back next to the pearl here, we're going to join those sides. We want the 15 closest to the center of the hole above, 15 closest to the center of the hole below. That pulls that on a diagonal across. We get a cross-section view of seed beads by adding a 15, sewing back through just the drop. Nice tight pull. I kind of push that drop to the top, add a 15 into the second hole of the IrisDuo. And then you're going to see how I did it on both sides, how that drop just kind of pops there. And I like the magic side of it because it adds some color variance. So you can see I wanted to do the other side so you could see it kind of completed, so you got a vision for it, because it's hard to see it when you just do one side. But you're going to keep going down, kind of rounding out those seed beads that are in the middle by once again 15, drop, 15, back into those 2 15-0s that are next to the center hole of the pearl, coming back towards the project, sewing through those, pull that nice and tight, add a 15, sew through the drop, progressing up toward my IrisDuo, add a 15 after the drop, and back through the second hole of the IrisDuo. I love the weight and the feel of this bracelet, and you can see that nice kind of V section that you're getting along the seed beads when you have your drops to the sides. Once you get to the end here, you can see that you've come back down, adding in those drops. They stick to the top. You're going to add in your 15, 11, drop, 11, 15, back through the pearl, and then this is your last chance here to go in and to reinforce. So you're going to go back up from the pearl through that 11 drop, around the 15s, going through those 15s, back up through those clasps, down through the 11, down through the 15, over through the pearl. And what we're going to do then is tie off the thread back around the project, weaving through, and then just doing a little sewer's knot to end the end of the project. Last thing you do then is you go in with your thread burner or thread zap and burn that down, and you have this amazing drop bracelet. It has a really great heavy feel to it, and I can't wait to see your samples in our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making. Thanks so much for joining me in creating this dramatic drop bracelet. It's fun to see it with drops, but I also can't wait to see yours if you do it with crystals or an 8/0 seed bead to see what the changes look like. Remember again to post yours in our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making. Helps out this amazing community to inspire, give ideas, and give feedback. If you haven't yet, hit that little subscribe button so you don't miss anything from us here at Potomac Beads. Give it a little thumbs up when you love the content, and stay tuned for more inspirational designs.